Let's go, guys. Let's give it our all. Mengo takes the lead, sleeps at the top. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Absolutely nothing. Flamengo has a long road of decisive matches ahead. Every game will be a decision from now on. We need to address the inconsistency in Brazilian Football Confederation refereeing. Shame on you, Brazilian Football Confederation. Shame on you, Brazilian Football Confederation. Gomes's tackle was 1,000 times worse, 1,000 times worse than Everton Araujo's, and yet video assistant referee calls to send off Everton Araujo. Gomes's tackle was 1,000 times worse, okay? 1,000 times worse. Andreas's tackle even made it to the national news, right, Mrs. Globo? Right, Mrs. Globo? They even took him to the national news to explain the tackle, didn't they? Are you kidding me, damn it? And then Bruno Henrique, damn it. Bruno Henrique went there to complain with good reason, got a yellow card, and is out of the game against Sao Paulo. Damn it. Are you kidding me, damn it? Are you kidding me? Now, that's good. Flamengo put pressure up there on Palmeiras, right? They put pressure on the Pepas. Flamengo will play 5 consecutive rounds, all before Palmeiras, and it has to be this way every round. Flamengo puts on the pressure, wins, they have to win, and put the pressure on them. Flamengo takes the lead, right? They take the lead, sleep as the leader, and put the pressure on them. At some point, they're going to slip up, brother. At some point, they're going to slip up. It could be tomorrow. It could be tomorrow. Juventude is fighting to avoid relegation. They could slip up tomorrow, okay? Globo will call Everton Araujo and Belo Horizonte on Jornal Nacional tomorrow. Oh, but they will.
Just 2 statements. The first is to thank the fans who, on a Saturday night, in a game against the last place team, normally people lose a bit of motivation. They showed up in force and supported us from start to finish. On behalf of the whole team, I want to thank them for being there. And the second statement, to say that it was a perfect refereeing that enforced the rules, the international rules. It's just a shame that south of Rio de Janeiro, the rules are different, okay? Come on.
Thank you. Good evening. You haven't been at Flamengo for very long, have you? I think it's been 3 months since you made your debut yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was on August 31st that you debuted. What's your assessment of your debut?
The belly.
That's right. 3 more months. It's been 3 months since you debuted for Flamengo. How do you assess your time here so far? Physically, with the squad, and individually? How have you adapted with your teammates in training? Today, you started again and played a key role in the result.
Well, I see these 3 months as good. I think I'm learning a lot here in Brazil. Hadn't experienced many things in a while. Here, I've been learning, and it's a process, and it's very broad. The year could pass now, it could end. It will be 5 months since I've been at Flamengo, and it will still be a short time. Of course, I understand the demands that people make, and everything. I still think that physically I will improve a lot, and as I said, 3 months is still very recent, but I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy that I understood today, not understood, contributed right in the game to the victory, and I hope to keep taking these important steps on the field wearing Flamengo's jersey.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, Felipe Luis always talked about how important you are to this squad, and today you were a starter. In a tough game, you gave that pass to Bruno Henrique. I wanted to know how much this assist today, your performance, gives you confidence for this final stretch at the end of Flamengo's season.
Well, as I answered in the previous question, I think it's a process. I never lost my confidence. I think players have ups and downs. All players go through this. Here, the pressure is very strong. That's clear. Everyone knows it. We all know it. But it's a process. I'm happy to have helped the team, and I haven't lost my confidence. I push myself, I work hard. And just because I went through a period without improving my numbers doesn't mean I stopped being who I am. You know, I know I'm a good person, a very good player with confidence, and today it showed. I remain confident, and as I said, it's a long process. What I want most is to enjoy it.
Last question. Flamengo tried a lot in the first half, but ended up not being able to score a goal. In the second half, the goals came, right? Was there any talk during halftime that made the team come back with more ease, more assertiveness in front of the goal?
Man, going back to talking about the process again, that's what Felipe said in the second part. It's a process. You can't score right away. The game's tight and unfolds gradually. Then the first goal came, quickly followed by the second. Arrasca scored an amazing goal, helping us secure a solid win. Confident and comfortable for our fans, but everything takes time. Things don't happen instantly. We want to score a goal in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, of course we do, but that's not how it works in soccer.
Every Libertadores final, right? It was a long journey. 15 years into his career, he'll have this opportunity again now with Flamengo. How does it feel to return to this stage with more experience, and what are your expectations?
It's wonderful, right? Wonderful. It's a really great feeling to experience this again, especially the way it happened against the Argentine club in the semifinal with all the characteristics of the Copa Libertadores, right? We're satisfied, but the year leaves little room to dream. Today's game demanded our full focus, and it will stay that way until month's end. Focus on the Brazilian Championship, since every point matters now.
Daniel, good evening. As you noted, Flamengo and Palmeiras have dominated Brazilian football lately. As an experienced player, what do you think will be the key factor in the final stretch for a team to win both the Brazilian Championship and Libertadores?
Long tournaments require consistency, right? So I'm sure that whoever has the best consistency now in this last month, with little time left in the tournament, it's now about who has the best chance to win the championship. Knowing that each game holds its own secrets, each game is very special and very difficult. So whoever is more consistent will have a better chance of winning.
The last one here, huh? Is it hard not to think ahead to the Libertadores final, especially since the other team also has a captain defender like you were? He often talks to the referee about fouls. Is he just doing his job, or is he annoying? As a former captain and defender, what do you think?
You already know the answer, don't you? No, but yes, everyone uses their own tricks, their own ways to try to influence the game somehow, especially here in South America. There's a lot of that. There's no right or wrong, you know? It's just the peculiarities of each place and what the game allows. Yeah, we have to try to use our strength, which I'm sure isn't that. So anyway, but until then, there's still a long way to go. Thanks.
Flamengo takes back the lead and now waits for Palmeiras game tomorrow. And I wanted to talk to you about the next match against São Paulo, since it's such a big game too. But it's going to be held at Vila Belmiro. Do you think that in a way this could take São Paulo out of their comfort zone a bit, since they're not playing at Morumbi? And could Flamengo have any advantage in that sense, playing on a field where São Paulo isn't the home team? In a match Flamengo must win to remain in the title race.
Well, I believe São Paulo is actually more comfortable at Vila than we are, right? They play there more than we do, but it happens. Many times we also take some games to Brasilia. We feel comfortable in Brasilia, for example, because we're more not used to it, but we've been there more often. So, and also because most of the fans many times are ours. So I don't know how the ticket distribution will be there. But does it make a big difference who has the majority of the fans or the fans who sing the loudest, right? Yes. It's definitely different for São Paulo to play at Morumbi compared to elsewhere. Sorry, it's also not the same when we don't play at Maracanã.
Good evening, Felipe. This is Eric Viana from Mundo Bola Flamengo. I want to ask you about the finishing. Flamengo took 10 shots from outside the box, which is something the fans have been asking for a lot. You've already mentioned a bit that this has more to do with the players than with a request from you. I wanted to know if you've been pushing more for these shots from outside the box to happen. The same applies to free kicks, as Flamengo scores from one again with Arrascaeta after 7 months. If you've also been practicing those free kicks more, thank you.
Well, about the shot from outside the box. I often consider, as you mentioned, the skills of the players on the field. Some excel at shooting more than others. And mainly the spaces that the opponent leaves for you to shoot. And one of the things is that sport often leaves that space in front of the box for you to shoot. Fortaleza scored that way, and other teams had chances too. São Paulo also scored from outside the box on a rebound, so that ends up happening naturally. The players feel more confident to shoot. They practice shooting every week. Free kicks sometimes, but never a streak of games. But that free kick goal went in. Many times we score from set pieces or open play or from crosses or shots from outside the box, but usually 1 or 2 goals per game. So 2 or 3, 4 months go by and you guys say, wow, it's been a while since he scored from outside the box, or it's been a while since he scored a free kick. You can't score every kind of goal in each game. Goal types often alternate. The important thing is that we have the ability to score them with decisive players like we have.
Felipe, good evening. Igor Siqueira from Universo Online. In the last press conference, you said this game would help some players regain confidence. Do you think the goal was achieved? And we also know that you're a guy who studies a lot. Methodical, you like to really dive deep into football. And even though you're always thinking about the next game, as you keep telling us, are you trying to expand or improve your repertoire as a coach in any way during this period, especially with this upcoming month of Libertadores, important finals, and the end of the season? Are you watching anyone studying any issue, any knot that you're trying to untie in your own repertoire as a coach?
So I study every week. I watch games of teams that I think serve as a model for me, so I can also get ideas and solutions. Depending on these European teams or even Brazilian teams here that face these situations during the week. And they always give us some ideas and some contributions to our repertoire, to our game model. Many times I've heard people say that our team plays the same way. To me, that's the best compliment because it shows the team has an identity. It's never really like that since many adjustments are made based on the game plan, which fans often don't notice. But there are many variations within the game itself that keep happening. That makes our team very hard to mark and press, so there's always time to improve. I forgot.
There are concerns about post-competition recovery.
Well, I believe so that everyone comes out stronger after a 3-0 victory.
Good evening, Felipe. This is Sidão Marinho from Electoral News. Flamengo has 7 matches before the Libertadores final. They played the first one today since the match against Galo is likely on the previous Tuesday in Minas. How are you projecting this path? Please also discuss the now confirmed opponent. Another Super Clásico now to decide who will be the first 4-time champion of the Libertadores. Based on that, in these upcoming rounds, do you think it's possible for the Brazilian champion to be decided before the final? Or will it be decided in the final 2 rounds of the Brazilian Championship?
I'm really bad at making predictions. If people who make predictions were right, soccer wouldn't be fun and gamblers would be rich. They're all having problems. You can never predict these things. So what we have to do is think about the next game. That's what I do. The final is still far off. I know you want to discuss it, but right now I'm only thinking about São Paulo. And that's the message I've been giving my players. What's on our minds is the next round. And the only thing that matters is what's within our reach, what's in our hands. What we can do is try to beat São Paulo in the next round.
Felipe, this is Raisa Simplicio from GO Brazil and Placar Magazine. You mentioned your focus is now on the next match against São Paulo. Bruno Henrique was suspended and is out. In this competition, we've seen Juninho get some minutes in the last 2 Brazilian Championship games. I wanted to know, at the beginning of the year, Juninho came in as a player to fight for a spot, but it ended up not happening. He hadn't played since August until this game against Fortaleza. And what happened with Juninho? Was it adaptation? Was it some evaluation mistake? So why isn't Juninho getting more opportunities right now, especially with Pedro out?
First, because the number one factor for a player to get on the field, because it's the players who put themselves there, is individual performance. So we saw Pedro rise and earn a starting spot along the way, and during that process, Juninho, Wallace, Bruno, all of them ended up losing space at this moment. And along with space, also their confidence. So I try in a certain way whenever I can to give them minutes. Because from what I see during the week, it also gives me a lot of information about what I can expect from the game. I have this information, you don't. And many times the choices of names are not pleasant to the eyes and ears of the fans. But they are because I also do what I believe is best for the team, depending on what I see during the week and during practices and games. So that's what happened. He didn't have the necessary continuity. He never managed to get the confidence he needed to perform and secure his place in the team unanimously. So that didn't happen, and it's all up to him.
Felipe, on Wednesday, you sent a message to the fans and asked them to come to Maracanã today and show their support for the team. And we noticed that from the moment the goalkeeper started warming up, the fans were singing non-stop. Despite some first half mistakes, no player was booed. Everyone was applauded, and the fans sang for the full 90 minutes. Do you think that the change, even for things to work out, did the successful second half have a lot to do with the fans who embraced your call to support the team at Maracanã and helped lead them to victory in this crucial stage of the Brazilian Championship? Thank you.
Excellent question. I have no doubt that the fans were a decisive factor in today's victory, and I'll explain why. Because when players who aren't at their best form take the field, for example, as everyone knows, Lino, Bruno Henrique, who aren't feeling very confident. Plata himself, who was coming off a red card, who, in my opinion, played an excellent game against Racing, but getting sent off affects a player's mindset. They didn't get the pressure they're used to from Flamengo's fans, and that's important for the fans to know that they were decisive, the supporters, decisive in helping these players recover during the match, because they keep touching the ball. Lino made mistakes at first, which we expected, but over time, he began recovering the ball, making saves, regaining confidence, and becoming Lino again. Because we can't just take a player that costs this much, put him on the shelf, and not play him anymore just because he's going to get booed. So that's the kind of influence the fans have over the players, and that's exactly what they did. So as the minutes went by, the players started getting better and ended up scoring a goal. And they ended up scoring, Bruno Henrique in this case, ended up scoring a goal and regained all his confidence. Lino played very well and was important until the end. And that was my goal. As I mentioned before, I don't want to tell fans how to cheer. Everyone can do what they want. Still, I hope fans understand the power and the ability they have to change a player's performance. I'm very happy, especially since 70,000 people filled Maracanã.
Felipe, good evening. Emanuele Ribeiro from GEGLOBO. Congrats on the win. You mentioned some players who played well. I think the player who, in my opinion, did really well today was De La Cruz, who is back as a starter since Jorginho got injured. I wanted to ask you how De La Cruz is doing physically. We know he had some issues throughout the season. And it turns out that Flamengo also signed other options for the midfield, increasing the competition there. And De La Cruz ended up losing a bit of space, but he's a player with tremendous quality, and today he played a great match. Also, how is Jorginho doing? Is there any timeline for his return? Thank you.
Nico, as I told you in the other press conferences, in my view and from what I know, Nico is a player who, with a sequence of training sessions, performs at a level of a major European club. He's a unique player. But several things happened before the World Cup with his knee injury, making a sacrifice that he was doing. Then he lost the ability to count training sessions. Afterwards, he had a series of games where he pushed himself even more. Then he got the flu in the middle of it. So there were several details that took him out of those training minutes, out of that sequence. It was important for his physical ability, but he lacked consistency and didn't get to compete for a spot. But Nico, whom we all know when he's well trained and in rhythm, is a top player. And today he was able to get back to adding minutes and feeling good on the field, which is something important for a player. And Jorginho, nothing too serious, but we have to be cautious.
Felipe, how are you? Good evening. Gabriel Orfon from Paparazzo Rubro Negro and Placar Magazine. Felipe, today you subbed in João Vitor late in the game for Leo Pereira. And I wanted to know from you how you see this issue of the backup center-back. Most games this year, you had Clayton, Danilo, Leo Pereira, and Leo Ortiz as options. Clayton even played against Bahia. Today, you put João Vitor into play, and recently, you even included Iago in the squad list. How do you see this situation with the young defenders from the youth academy, the younger defenders being able to help your team more? How do you evaluate João Vitor's game today? You even applauded him when he sped up play. Thank you.
João, everyone knows about his quality and the affection I have for his football. He missed the game against Bahia because he was at the Under-20 World Cup. I repeat what I said about Juninho. For me, it's about performance and what I observed during the week. And João doesn't let up for a second. So I chose to give him some minutes in today's game because Leo Ortiz is having ankle problems. He also made a huge sacrifice. And it's important for me that he gets minutes and feels like a professional player, that he feels like a part of what's happening on the field, because at any moment we might need him, and he's going to be the player for the next games because of his attitude, because of his performance day in and day out.
Felipe, good evening. How are you? Julio Miguel Neto, DZF LA ESM Live. Felipe, you often mention studying a lot after each game. But I have to ask about Pedro's situation. What is being reported to the press and to most Flamengo fans is still a big mystery about his forearm regarding the calcification and whether he will be fit to play, not only for the Libertadores final, but also due to key matches in the ongoing Brazilian Championship, including Flamengo. If Palmeiras doesn't win tomorrow, Flamengo will regain the lead. I wanted to ask you regarding today's match, you put Bruno in a more advanced position. Does it already cross your mind, you who are a studious guy, to start considering the possibility of not having Pedro in the Libertadores and having this key player in the match against Palmeiras in the Libertadores? I'm talking about the Libertadores. Yeah, there are other games, but just to have a basis in case you don't have Pedro available.
And Plata, he was sent off. Pedro, a bone fracture. I'm not a doctor, but I've already broken both legs. I've broken my arm. I've broken my hand, every kind of bone. It's 6 weeks, so it's really, really tight for Pedro to make it to this final, but also considering how fast he recovers, perfect, right? Like he did with his knee. And he's a man of faith. We all believe he can, yes, achieve this feat, but without setting a deadline, without putting any pressure on the player. First is his health, that he is well recovered so he can perform. That's the most important thing. And Bruno played today where he played in 2019, practically the whole year. He and Gabi up front, Arrasca left wing, Ribeiro right. That, for me, is his position. No matter what others say, that's where I see him making a difference. He gets into the box well, is strong at heading, attacks space, and when confident and informed, he's a real asset. How could I put it? He and Arrasca are historic legends of Flamengo, and we have to thank them.
Felipe, good evening. Bruno Castanha from PA Futebol Clube. Felipe, today Flamengo had another player sent off. Recently, every game has had a sending off. Some deserved, some not. But I wanted to know about the criteria. What's your opinion on the issue of criteria or the lack of it in the games? Sometimes similar plays don't lead to a sending off, but in other games they do. In the case of Everton's sending off today, last week in the Palmeiras versus Cruzeiro game, video assistant referee called the referee who didn't want to send the player off. How does that impact the player? Every game, we don't know the refereeing criteria or what referees will or won't do. Thank you.
Was the sending off fair? I didn't see the play. Was it fair? Yes, it was fair. The sending off was fair. Didn't you think so?
He pulls his foot back.
Good, good. What I heard was that they admitted a mistake in the Palmeiras game and corrected themselves. No play is exactly the same, but they started applying it from then on, so it falls under this correction. And what I have to do is try to make sure my players don't get sent off either. Everton did not intend to be sent off in this case. He's a player who's not violent at all, and it's a shame that we lose him for the next game as well.
Here, Felipe, good evening. Marcos Martin down here. Marcos Martin from Canada QCRN. Congratulations on the win. You said that many times the lineup might not please the fans. I wanted to ask specifically about Matias Vinha. You mentioned individual performance, but also frequently discuss adapting to the game system for each match. There's also the physical aspect for a player like Vinha, who was away from the field for a long time due to a very serious injury. What's your assessment of Vinha? He hasn't been getting many opportunities, much playing time. How is your evaluation of him?
He's competing for the position with Ayrton. And at this moment for me, both Alex, who's now playing, Alex, we take very special care of him. He's playing in an incredible way. Ayrton, whenever he plays, has played very well. In my eyes, I know it seems like Ayrton never plays well to the fans, but to me, he does. He does exactly everything I ask him to do and fulfills every role I ask him to perform on the field. And Vinha is fighting for his spot. As you said, he's coming back from a very serious injury. He worked really hard to be here right now, I know that. And today I was planning to give him some minutes as well. But Carrasco's exit at the beginning of the game and the circumstances that followed made me choose to keep Ayrton in until the end. But he's a player I keep in mind and who is always important for us. And whenever I need him, I know he'll be ready.
Felipe here, Natalia Brazil from Radio Roquette. I know we're talking about the Brazilian Championship, and you've already said there's still a long way to go until the final game, but I wanted to ask you a question. If you watched the rivals game, and if it made any difference to you which opponent it would be, Palmeiras had a big score to make up. There was a chance that Liga Deportiva Universitaria could be the finalist. I wanted to know, on a personal level, if it made any difference who was on the other side.
I watched it, like I told you, without thinking about tactics, just following the ball to really clear my mind. And Palmeiras went through deservedly. The two best teams in South America are there, maybe playing the biggest final in the history of the Libertadores. And that's it. It's wonderful that we can have this opportunity to experience this moment. It's a great privilege to be living this moment. Let's enjoy this. Flamengo and Palmeiras will truly savor this special Libertadores final.
Yeah. Good evening, Felipe. Leo Jose Coluna do Fla. In the last round and in this round, Flamengo played before Palmeiras. In the next 3 rounds, Flamengo will play before Palmeiras in the Brazilian Championship. Some coaches have already said publicly that they prefer to play afterwards because they more or less know the opponent's result. And others have also said that they prefer to play first because they go into the game without pressure. What's Felipe Luis's thinking with Flamengo? Playing before the main rival for the Brazilian Championship title, at least in these 5 rounds? The last one, this one, and the next 3.
I hadn't considered that. My main concern is the recovery time between games. For example, like I told you, we had 3 days to prepare for the Botafogo game until the Racing game at home. That was really bad for me, even though it happened before the Palmeiras game. I wanted the Botafogo game on Saturday to have 4 days to prepare for Racing. And then Palmeiras would have played on Saturday too, right? But it didn't happen that way. That's the only thing that worries me. For example, we'll have 4 days to prepare for the São Paulo game, which is a reasonable amount of time. There's time to train, because while we had 2 days against Fortaleza trained the whole week. For Vasco, we trained for 2 days. Oh, we didn't even train, just recovery. Vasco had the whole week. And there were several games like that. If they only give me 2 days to recover, it's tough. I'm always worried about having that difference between now, Saturday, and Wednesday. Okay, I have nothing to complain about. But when it's 3 days, it's really tight, even in terms of mental and tactical fatigue, to be able to help the players.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.